Hello, pharmacy technicians. I hope you're having a great week. We are in PA1, 212 certification, and we're in chapter 3-4 this week. Chapter 3 starts on page 37. We're going to talk about the patient's profile. Your discussion talks a lot about why we have a profile and what is in it. So let's just go ahead and define what a patient profile is. It says it has several functions. It serves as a means of distinguishing and identifying patients, serves as legal record of medications dispensed, and most importantly, serves as a resource of information that could protect the patient against potentially harmful drugs or procedures. The profile is an outpatient and institutional setting contained similar information. However, the information contained in a patient profile within an institutional setting tends to be more detailed. And of course, probably a lot more notes in an institutional setting like a hospital or a nursing home, because then the doctors can add to it as well. When you're in a retail pharmacy and you're the one just adding into the patient profile, like the retail profile, then you don't have as many notes for the patient because we're just dispensing medications. I think one key thing that it hits on here, it says it protects the patients against potentially harmful drugs or procedures. So the software will actually, when you're filling a drug for the patient, it will check against all medications that it has filled in the past and say, oops, this one interacts, or hey, everything looks great. And then also, there's one last check from the insurance company actually. So if you send a medication to the insurance from the patient's profile, then the insurance says, oops, hey, in the last 12 months I've filled this and it interacts with it. Or, hey, they got this filled at a Walgreens right down the street that you might not know about. So are they out? Did they lose some? That kind of stuff. So the patient profile not only is in your pharmacy, but then when it's sent out to the insurance company, it can really tell interactions and it can protect the patients that way. So that is some of the functions of the profile. They've given you some different profiles to look at, like in an institutional setting, in an outpatient setting, that kind of stuff in this chapter 3 section. And then it really compares to the information in both of them. And so you'll be able to see what the differences are, and then that will help you answer your discussion question. So read chapter 3 before you answer your discussion question, just so that you have all the information that you need to really answer that. And then you also have chapter review questions starting on page 43. You only have to do the odds. There's only 10 of them, so the odds of those. Again, great practice for your certification test, so I would again just take them all, but just hand in the odd ones. Okay, moving on to chapter 4. This is handling medications, and what we're talking about here is when we are slapping labels on a medication, we're reading the labels, and I love that on page 47 it actually gives you a label of Vistaril, and you should know what TARIL, that ending tells you what kind of medication that is. I'm not going to tell you. Go ahead and look that up if you don't remember. So here you can see it gives you your NDC number. Usually pharmacist makes you check against the NDC number that comes up on the label and the NDC number that you have pulled from the shelf to make sure that you are correct there. So that is a number one check. You also are checking how many milligrams you pulled. This one says 50 milligrams per ml. So actually this is a solution, not a tablet or capsule form. It gives you storage instructions. It gives you dosage instructions. It tells you the manufacturer. It tells you how much is in the vial. It gives you the name, brand, and the generic name. And so you can just kind of see that on the manufacturer's label. It really gives you, and what kind of Federal Legend or RX it is. So if it was a controlled substance, the C2, C3 would be right there on that manufacturer's label telling you what class of drug it is. So it goes on to describe the National Drug Code, or the NDC number, on page 48. This is a manufacturer's identification code. And it tells you there it's 11 digits long, and usually the pharmacist will make you check the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 to 6 against the label that you're filling. And it tells you why the different NDC numbers there. And then measuring the drug for dispensing, whether that's a liquid medication, and sometimes the liquid medication will come in like we just saw for Vistaril 10 mils, but the doctor maybe only wants to give them 5 mils. We'll actually have to pour that into a different container, and it's talking to you about how you do that, how you package that. Or if they are dispensing 10 mils, then sometimes they'll just have you slap the prescription label on the manufacturer, not over the manufacturer's label, but on the other side, so that you're just really giving them that whole bottle if it hasn't been opened. If it's still sealed, we can give it to the patient. If it has been opened, then we need to put it into a different container. And that talks about sealing the labels on the next page. Axillary labels, something I want to mention really quickly. These are things that are like warning to the patients. And sometimes actually the pharmacist will add those, but sometimes you'll see they're adding the same ones every time, so you can just help by doing that. Or you can see on the label it'll say, make sure that you add a warning of this. It talks a little bit about what an axillary label is, and the different ones that they have, like don't drink alcohol with this, or don't eat a certain food with this. So those kind of things. Talks a little bit about aseptic technique, and then also the injections. And then on page 58 goes into your review questions. Again, you have 10 questions, only the odd ones are due, and I would answer all of them so that you are reviewing correctly for your certification test. Okay, I think that's it for this week. I hope that you have a great rest of your week. If you have any questions, please let me know. You should have your book. If you don't, make sure that you've ordered it. If not, let me know if there's a problem. Hope you have a great day, and I'll talk with you soon.